So this link I've sent you, there's a PDF doc now that has the updated APIs documented, so you can know how to do it.
Hey guys,
Kevin?
how is everybody?
Doing good. So this is the OUYA support hangout for 318. Now it's going to cover some IAP stuff. Okay, so we have the 1001 update that I sent on Friday, and then I'm working on the 1002 update. I'm also getting some echo.
It's probably me.
Here,
Try talking now.
There we go. Yep. Okay. So, this is the panel for 1002, which I'll package sometime later this week, and it's got some updates. I was planning on adding like a checkbox either in the panel, or I think I had started making some changes to the OUYA game object so that you can turn on the IAP test mode, which will let you test things before the store goes live so that it doesn't charge money and stuff. And so that might be one reason why some of the purchases are failing. And then now the OUYA game object has a list of purchasables. So you can, this is the IDs that you get from the developer portal, and you plug these in. And then I'm hooking it all up into the Java backend. So.
Okay, hopefully it's not echoing anymore.
No, it stopped echoing.
Alright, good.
Alright, so one thing that was helpful is, so you download the 006 update and you download the 100 update. And then if you look in the sample apps, there's IAP sample app activity, which is what the IAP stuff models after. And I made a video about this, but if I go to the top here, it kind of, that's how you know, like, when there's an update, like how much stuff has changed, which was apparently a lot. And this is what you get in the 100 update, or 1001 update, which is all this stuff upgrading. So they added a bunch of encryption stuff and security. Kevin, I'm going to be evil and try and mute you because it was echoing. Okay, there we go. I'll select my screen so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Okay, there we go. All right, so there's a thread in the forums right now that talk about like how you set up this application key, which is this set of bytes. Once I'll document how that works. But your application key goes in here, and then they had a list of purchasables. This is going to come in from your OUYA game object. They added some more IDs. They got rid of whatever user manager was, and they added a purchase retry mechanism for when it fails. There's also a broadcast receiver thing that you can hook into that I'll document this as well, but you can now detect the system button presence. So that'll be an event that you can add to your game to like bring up a pause menu or something. And they have a public key for encryption. They got rid of user manager. There's this encryption stuff. Here's the bit about, I was noticing that in 006, if your purchase failed, it was disconnecting, and now they've got this restart purchase mechanism now. whatever the shared preferences thing was, it's gone now. User manager was removed. They got rid of the shared preference thing. User manager is gone. Some more success fail code. They also wrapped any reference of using toast is now wrapped with just a show error, so that you only have to comment toast out in one place if you replace with your own error handling. And actually, now that I remember, how many people do we have in here? 1, 2. Okay. Well, if we get full, then we just send that broadcast link, and I'll post it in the on the updates page. Now there's some handy links to say, okay, go to the Hangout scheduling page. We can just say what time it'll be in. I'm just giving them the link here. Okay. There we go. So if I play that, it's a thing and a thing and a thing. Play that. It's a thing and a thing and a thing. Cool. So it's live. All right. All right, back to the IIP stuff. Okay, so there were some slight changes into, so when you request a purchase on, this is all Java stuff. So on the Java side, when you're requesting purchase, you're passing products by string, and now they're just a product object. And then there's a ton of this encryption stuff, where now it's doing JSON encoding and then doing a secret thing. And this is, if you're concerned about security, this is an added layer of security. And double byte encoding. Okay. Just a little button thing. Okay, this is like Android GUI stuff wrapped in on-click stuff that we don't really care about. Here's that they wrapped using the toast error system with just a function, so you only have to comment that out in one place. And I've already done that. Slightly different success handler for receipts. With JSON decoding. Yeah, just a different error handling. We have purchase listeners, since it's no longer, it's a product now instead of a string. And a bunch more handling and stuff. And try-catch blocks. Everybody likes try-catch blocks. more failure handling for stuff, and then an authentication helper. Security. Okay. So anyways, if I just diff the changes in their sample app with the latest, these are all the changes that you see. So mainly it's just slight changes to the success and failure handlers, and then a lot of security stuff and removal of user manager. And to diff this kind of thing, sometimes I use beyond compare, and sometimes I use WinMerge. I prefer WinMerge a little bit, depending on what I'm doing. Beyond compare is good, like if code just moved around, but it's still there, where you can align it with some tools. But then I like looking at it in WinMerge a little bit better. Okay. So those were the Java changes, and then I just went and incorporated those changes into the plugin. And okay. So all those changes made it into the OUYA Unity application, OUYA Unity plugin, and the test facade. So most of those listener changes can happen in the test facade, but there's certain things like handling broadcast events, and that has to happen in the application activity. And then there's certain changes that I have to make to the OUYA Unity plugin, which is what we use for our Unity code to talk back to Java. And then again, we use our OUYA activity as an interface to get access to the different parts across these three different portions. So when our application needs to talk to our plugin or plug into the application, or if we want to access the test facade in either place, that's what this interface is about. Okay, so then if we look at Unity, there's some changes to the OUYA game object, which is this new use IAP test mode. And if I can find WinMerge, must have closed it. Okay. So if I diff the activity with the other activity, there's something in here about test mode. Okay, so when the activity gets created and when they initialize the OUYA facade, they have this thing commented out, which is uncomment this line to test again, or to test against the server with fake credits, but credentials. This will switch to a test purchase history, whatever. Okay, so I'm going to add a checkbox in the panel so that you can toggle this test mode. And that'll be good for before your product goes live and just to make sure the purchases are happening. And if you're watching this and it's like super blurry, like, don't worry about it. It's I'll re-edit it and you'll get an HD video like after. You'll be able to read this in high def. Okay. So the set test mode thing is going to be a toggle. And that's going to be on your OUYA game object. Use IAP test mode. And when that's checked, you'll be able to test your purchases if they're not going through already. And then you list out the different purchasables that you have, which you get through the store. All right. And then what else did I do? I added a run button. So there's build and run, build, and just run it. So like if you're something happened or whatever and you just want to relaunch it, you can just click that button. Okay, so Let's see how this works so far. Oh, sometimes you get this because I've got more than one Android device and plugged in. Okay, let's try it again. But I don't need to build again, I'll just run it. Maybe. Oh, it's gone. Something's happened. Okay. I'll show you some command line stuff here. So if we go to our program files, Android SDK, platform tools, we can do ADB devices. And of course my device is on offline. All right. I just have to unplug it or reboot it. Something like that. There it goes. Just rebooting my OUYA here. There we go. Now it's listed. And now when I click this button, it launches like I thought it would. Ah, I was playing around with the controller. Okay, hang on. Okay, if you don't have any scenes selected, it'll just run the active scene. So I'll just switch over to the product scene. Show products, okay, doesn't run. You guys can all hear me, right? I haven't heard a peep since I muted you.
It's because we're all muted.
Yeah. I only did that because it was echoing.
Yeah, it sounds like somebody's scribbling on paper right now.
Everybody's just taking in the knowledge.
Gotcha. Soak it in. Okay, so here we go. Where can I see my capture? There we go. Alright, so I have this lonely button here.
Wait, am I actually allowed to talk right now?
Oh yeah, go ahead. That's weird. My OUYA system button is blinking. What does that mean? It moves my mouse. So
Sorry, I'm getting my own echo. This is weird.
it really helps if you have a headset on and then you don't get feedback. Okay, so here you see I tap the Get Products button in the example, and it calls the...
Yeah, I do have a headset, but I'm just like listening to the delay of my voice.
Oh, yeah. All right, well, I'll mute. And, okay, just keep talking until you stop hearing the echo.
Usually that means somebody else doesn't have a headset.
I'm not hearing an echo at all.
Testing. Am I still hearing my own echo?
Did that work?
I'll figure it out. Sorry, just keep going.
Okay. Well, you sound fine to me, so if we just, what did you want to know? Or you can type in the chat. So there's in Google Hangouts, it has a chat button. And if your mics are
Well, I
broken-
did have a couple of questions about, like, I heard somebody saying, okay, I'll do that.
You must have like 5 seconds of lag because you probably just heard me. Oh, you can type in the chat. You had me hooked. Okay. Anyways, so the get products example, you can do that, and then click in the purchase. Pops up. Hey, do you want to purchase whatever? And cancel should hit the cancel callback, and okay, it should hit the other one. I still have to hook up these remaining parts though, so that they're hooked up into what I documented. So if I go into back to the awesome page, you'll notice like some other stuff on here. These are the other plugins that I've made. So you can click on those, and then there's a couple different evals if you want to try it out. I'll add evals to more of them if you guys like evals. Okay. On this page, there's a PDF. So if I open up the documentation here, okay, and I basically go to the end because that's where the products are. Okay, here's our example, da, 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 da. And then it gets to the script part. And this week I'm hooking up these interfaces. So for IAP, all you'd have to do is add a listener for get products, purchase, and get receipts. And then you subscribe to the listeners like this, and unsubscribe on destroy. And then you use these callbacks, and that's all you have to do for your purchases, other than type in the product IDs in the game object, in the OUYA game object, and potentially check the box for you want to put it in test mode. And this is the idea behind this is you just have to do this few steps, and you don't have to worry about the Java code or anything. So that's where things are headed. I hope to have another build this Friday.
That sounds awesome, Tim. How much of that works already?
Well, I did the hard part of upgrading to the 100 SDK. So now it's just rehooking it up to this UI stuff. So really, I was just working on it. It's close, though. I go back to the code. One of these guys. Okay, so mainly it's about passing the product list, which happens in, okay, so we have our purchase example, so it all starts there. We show products, this one, example script. And it's just a GUI script. Okay, so if you go to the top, it's got the regular stuff, and then I'm just phasing out the old stuff right now. So this old code that used to register a bunch of listeners with Java and whatnot, that'll move into the game object so that all you have to do is add these listeners, which are already in the example. You just basically duplicate the script and it'll be as minimal as possible. You don't even have to type in your developer ID anymore. That's in the game object. So this stuff wouldn't happen. sun just came out. I can barely see my screen. It was like hailing 2 minutes ago. Okay.
Same on our end.
Oh, up in Canada?
Oh, buddy, it is pouring snow here.
Oddly enough, in the UK, the sun has not come out. It's, let me just check, dark.
Okay, so here's the Get Products button. And basically it grabs the list of purchasables that you type
when you
in.
get a chance, I was wondering if you could elaborate on the controls and how the difference between Xbox controls and OUYA controls would work.
Well, we have some cool updates coming out for not this week, but next week that fixes all the controller lag and stuff. And in that version, the API is exactly the same except for the mappings, but we have to do some more testing with it. And the whole idea for the script, if I bring back the doc here.
So it'll be exactly the same as Unity's input manager system?
In the update for next week, so it'll work both ways. So we have our OUYA input manager. There you go. I'll go back up here.
That is awesome.
So both will work. It's just you can decide to use either or both, where you can have an event-driven thing where you get a notification for a button press, or you can use the traditional Unity API with input dot whatever. And we've tested it where it seems to work with every controller, so without having to do the device.
So if I wanted to make a PC and OUYA game, both like the same game, I'd be able to switch between the two controls easier now?
Mm-hmm. Although what we've done already lets you do that, like for Gravity, we're using the OUYA input manager is multi-platform, so it works on PC, Mac, and the console, all with the same event-driven systems.
Really? I never knew that. It's actually really helpful.
Yep. So that's why there's the key enums.
That's
so
great.
even though you're using an Xbox controller, it all maps to a OUYA controller button scheme.
You probably ought to mention, for Eric's benefit, there's that slight difference between the button up and button business. You know, in Unity's input manager, it tells you only the frame that the button comes up or goes down, and the OUYA input manager is very slightly different. It's an easy thing to do, but you need to know about it if it's just in case it hits you.
Right. Okay. So OUYA input manager, when you call get button down, it returns true while the button is down and up while the button is up. And regular Unity only returns button down or button up in the update frame that happened. So in the update for next week, it will still be like that for OUYA input manager, but regular input.get button down will be Unity, how Unity handles it, and it'll just work. So you have the option of which way you want to do it, or both. And it works.
So it
great.
sounds like for my case, the best thing to do would be to just kind of rig up my own system of get button down.
You shouldn't have to. I mean, the examples are there where you can use events to drive your input for like button toggles and whatnot, or you can do the state-driven approach. It's just with polling, the performance is slower than using an event-driven system. But yeah, I mean, the next update will be like instantaneous.
Okay, I'm just trying to wrap my head around how I'm going to do this, because I don't really plan on actually going to development on the OUYA until I actually get an OUYA. So I'm just going to develop my game for PC until then, but I want to develop it in a way that's like flexible enough to, so that I'll be ready for the controls once I actually do get it. OUYA.
Yeah. Okay. And in that case, the examples that we have here, it works exactly the same whether you're working on in PC or Android. So the same API works for both. That's the whole reason why we have the input manager. So your OUYA controller and Xbox 360 controllers work in the Windows Unity IDE the same way. And on
All
the
right, great.
console
Thank you so much.
But that's next week. I'm just teasing you guys, but yeah, all the performance stuff is fixed. But you'll see it next week because we have to integrate it in, and it's like we had to decide do we just throw out the OUYA input manager, and it's like nah. I mean they both have their uses.
Well, I'm not going to have an OUYA for another 3 months anyways.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you can't build an APK and we can always test it. And that's kind of the fun part of these Hangouts is
This is true.
I'm just jonesing for my next Snowman update. I don't know if
Oh, buddy, I'm dying. I haven't had my snowman fix in a week.
You guys go.
yeah, that's kind of it for the controller and IAP updates. We can just test stuff and play around now. You guys can unmute if you want to, because I'm done.
I guess I better get to work on that.
Huh.
All right, Rupert. So, what can the snowman do? Last week we could fire rockets and melt snow.
Yeah.
Do we have yellow snow and brown snow now, or what else can we do?
Can my player make yellow snow yet? Is that
No,
allowed?
that's a very tempting one. I did wonder about the yellow snow. Requires an extra texture, of course, but no, we can now knock snow off the roof of the shed, and hopefully soon off the tree and other things. So there'll be a kind of environmental play where you get somebody standing underneath something, and so you miss them, but you hit the thing behind them, and then snow just falls on their head and causes tons more damage. Stuff like that. So.
Cool.
I know, little steps. There's only one developer. It's slow.
You'll get there, don't worry. I'm the same way. One person.
We're like a one-man Rambo kind of army, aren't we? That's how we see ourselves.
Exactly.
Rupert, First Blood Part 2. Dun dun dun.
Adrian!
No. All right, just to bring you guys up to speed. Okay, so
can I quickly check my understanding of something you said just now?
Another
which
question that I had is how is the OUYA going to handle promo codes and free download keys for customers? Will that be a available feature?
Ooh. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
well,
they just discussed that, didn't they?
So already everything in the store is going to be free, to download the game initially, and then you use that IAP system that I was going over to do your in-app purchases. So, and if you generate a promo code, it'll just probably be part of the launcher here that I'm using now, where you input a key and it'll do it in the product, or maybe even that might be. I haven't talked to him about it or anything, but maybe that might be one of the functions on IAP, which would be something like use promo code or something. Because right now it has those 3 listeners, right, for getting the products, purchasing a product, and getting receipts. We just add another listener for, a promo code per use listener or something like that. And that would make sense. So you could use the promo code in game, or you could use it in the launcher. Makes sense to have 2 ways, really. Sometimes
So that would be a way of making sure that every promo code could only be used once.
Right. Well, I mean, it's going to happen on the server, right? You'll get a failure response, say, "Oh, this key's already used," or "This isn't a valid key," or something. And it'll have success. Okay, this is applied, and then when you get the receipt,
That would be great to have.
in the receipt listener, you'll see if that purchase was there, and then you unlock that content.
Is that what you're doing for Gravy? Or are you just doing it a completely different way?
Well, Desura generates keys for you, so that was nice.
Yeah, I heard.
And then, yeah, for the next 2 weeks, we have to fix performance so that it runs on there, and hopefully we submit it in time. Well, I mean, I think we'll submit it, even with a crappy frame rate, and then we'll still,
for the March 28th?
yeah, and then until June, you can keep submitting patches and whatnot. As long as you get it in by that deadline, that's fine.
That's what me and Jeremy were thinking, is like releasing. Well, I was thinking of making the game episodic, right? So episode 1, or like seasons. But I still haven't got it down. I'm not sure if I want to do it or if I don't.
Yeah, the problem with that, though, is that you tend to have all of your game logic, and the majority of the code has to be written by the time you actually ship the thing in. You have to have one level. Usually, it's if you've got like art guys that you can bring them in and get loads of extra levels done later, that you can do the episodic approach. For me, I don't know. I'd be interested to hear what others are thinking, but I'm taking I've got the basic game. And then the things that you can purchase, which for me I was going to go with levels and weapons, and you get kind of several weapons and several levels for each purchase, or you can buy them all as a one-off type of thing. And obviously I can implement those weapons and levels after March the 28th. So there might be one thing, the rocket launcher is the only thing you can buy, and that'll come with some free extra levels when they come out type of thing. But I don't know. Thoughts, guys? Better.
I would have thought you don't really want to. You don't need to rush doing the purchasing stuff. I don't think, because I mean, who's really going to be playing it for the next 3 months? You can get the game out there and get people playing it, but until people are really downloading it in sort of June, or the purchasing thing won't be that important.
It's a really good point.
My thoughts, anyway.
And
so
if you look at the amount of changes, okay, so again, if I go back to this, I mean, granted that version 1 was like the final, the open source version, or whatever, the major release. They did like this many changes to the purchase system in one update. So I don't imagine that the next updates are going to have any less. And so I expect I'm going to have to, like, as we go along, keep fixing it. Up until like launch day, when, crap, the purchases are broken again.
I think the best thing to do is just get the games out there, really.
Yeah.
Because it's the only time when the market won't be completely saturated. It's a bit like when the App Store began and there was room, and then suddenly there's no room unless you've got a big budget to get it in front of people, under people's people's faces.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
It's a very, very good point.
And Tim, just to respond to your previous comment, and we love you for getting all of those fixes hidden behind a lovely layer of abstraction.
So
that we
if
can
you
just
wanted
keep
to go
changing
with
things
like
ourselves a
the
lot.
demo, wait, sorry, I'll wait.
Yeah, I think there's about a 7-second lag. And
I know, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Where is Eric? I mean, how can he be that laggy? I'm in the UK, for goodness sake.
He must be in India or Australia. Or he's on a
I'm in the
dial-up mode.
United States.
See, that explains it. See, Arcadia, you're outside the United States. I said this joke before, but that automatically gives you better internet than we have in the States, by at least 20%.
Yeah, Gary and I should be hearing ourselves instantaneously, but wow.
You know what? My AOL internet rapes all of you.
Yeah, AOL's not. Yeah, we've seen your internet.
I know, it's really bad.
Okay, so you guys were both asking something. So Eric.
So is it better if you want to go with the demo approach of having like a free-to-play demo where you play like, say, like the first 3 levels of the game or something like that? Is it better to have the demo be a separate app or to have it be an in-app like unlock purchase?
Well, they did show that demographic on, I don't know if it was in Gadget, but they show like games with demos sell less. But that said, it's probably better to make it an in-app purchase rather than a separate thing, because then they have to make another download, and you're going to lose people.
Well, also
percentage-wise.
you've got to look at. I assume Eric's question is also for the OUYA specifically. You can't do anything other than an in-app purchase. There is no other way to do it. You can't charge for things from the market, can you? So.
Yeah, so I guess that limits your options to one.
Have a look at Mini
Unless, of course, you're
Mini,
releasing onto.
what's it called?
Oops.
Mini. You know, on the App Store, it's called Minigore.
Okay, that actually answers my question perfectly.
A really good model if you want to look at how in-app purchases can work quite well in terms of putting weapons in or levels and such things. So it's a good model, that one.
There we go. I heard something about mini golf, and then the volume started to come in.
Minigore. It's like a twin stick shooter on the iPhone, and they've got a really that's it Rupert. Minigore. Yeah. Have a look at that and have a look at the purchases on there, because that's the kind of model that I expect that is going to work pretty well on the OUYA, because it'll be about upgrading what you can do but still being able to play everything. So some people will want to get there faster, and those are the people that you charge. And then if you give people the ability to play stuff, throughout the game and without having to, it's all about numbers. If you get more people in there, then basically, some people will want to pay it faster. They'll be willing to pay. But if you cut people off at the beginning, you might damage your viability, and people might not want to download it so much because they'll think they have to pay for everything when everything else around them will be free. Does that make sense? Yeah, thanks.
So it sounds like the business model between a PC game and an OUYA game are like totally different. So that might be a problem for me if I'm trying to do a simultaneous PC and OUYA release.
Well, it might be wrong. It might be that it's more like the PC for the OUYA, but I'm imagining that it's probably going to be more like the way that it works on mobile devices. It's a bit casual in the living room, but with more staying power for a game. Less disposable games. Yeah, it's tricky. We're going to find out in the next few months.
Right. Well, I did.
Well, I guess I'm kind of glad I'm not one of the launch titles.
So, do we know, on that subject of launch titles, do we know, what are minimum requirements for completeness for getting in? I mean, I haven't got music yet. I feel really embarrassed. I haven't got music, and I'm still working on the menus.
I thought you were gonna do the whole dude that died or whatever. You're gonna take his music.
Yeah.
It's not copyrighted.
Yeah, no, rape the dead people. Yes, or alternatively, for those of a slightly more delicate disposition than Kevin, the explanation there. In my defence, I'm not talking necrophilia. I'm actually talking music that's out of copyright. It turns out 50 years after the composer or composers have passed on, you can use the music and it's no longer in copyright. Hey!
I explained it the simple way. The guy that's dead, just take his music.
Yeah, nice. Oh, you have to show that bug straight off, don't you? Damn it. Oh.
Sorry.
That's just cruel.
Oh, wait, is this a new build or an old build?
Old build. I haven't shipped anything new yet.
Alright,
How long is it called today? I might send out a new version. So yeah, Eric, if you've got anything, send it over to Tim, and he'll run it on TV. It's
whoa, whoa.
Very low frame rate.
I also have one, guys. Don't leave me out of the question. Thanks. I feel so lonely now. It's like everybody cares about Tim. I'm out of the shining light.
Well,
Here's Johnny.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was.
Well, maybe I'll be able to get my game OUYA ready within, I don't know, a couple of weeks.
Oh man,
Matter of
it's super
implementing the
easy. Super easy.
The most useful piece of advice I could, if I may offer it humbly, if you've got a Nexus 7 or a Tegra 3 device of some sort, if it works on there, and you plug in an MHL cable and your 360 controller, if it works on there, you're pretty much set.
Snowman!
Right. I like testing on the Nexus 10 because then you just root it and you can run wireless AD. You don't even need a cable.
What is going on here? My player is tripping out.
You're just
Yeah, that would have been
untiring.
super useful. That stinks.
You're just
Anyways,
liking-
back to the market stuff. I learned something about Steam, which is, I mean, I guess everybody knew, but like that first month that you go to Steam Greenlight is when you see like 90% of your traffic, and then once you drop off page 1, you don't see anything, which is what the creator of NGUI Windfall was telling everybody in his blog post, which is basically, you know, just getting serious traffic and then nothing after you dropped off page 1. So I guess if you want to get on Steam, you've got to use gotta use contacts and go there or something.
So you really shouldn't try to get on Steam Greenlight until your game is out.
Well, so that's the thing. Yeah, you want to do Steam Greenlight, your Kickstarter, your OUYA launch, all in the same month, so you can cross-promote your marketing and all that, because that's when most of the traffic's going to get there. So really, we need to have like tons of Kickstarters in June. We need the OUYA gaming source people to get.
I wonder if I could get a Kickstarter for like updating the music.
Yeah.
Okay, this is slightly embarrassing. I'm slightly hypnotized by watching Tim play my game. Is that sad or what?
Put crappy music in the first version.
Yeah.
Yeah, that reminded me of like Punky Brewster or something. 80s hit teen music. It had a hypnotic theme.
I'm still trying to get my character working.
In
got
your
like
own game? Kev?
Okay, so I mentioned the OUYA gaming source thing. So everybody's going to run into this, right? You're all going to
Is
finish your
there any
game.
way of like knowing that the game will work on an OUYA before I actually test it on an OUYA? Besides the Tegra or the what was it?
Yeah, the Tegra 3 will fix that. Or ship it to Tim.
Yeah, or,
And
I mean,
Kevin.
we do this every week, so it's not like you can't Dropbox me a link and test it within a week. It's no problem. Usually I'll do it right away. So everybody's going to run into this situation where you're going to finish your game and then you're going to need to let people know that your game is done, right? Because you've got some awesome game and then you need to sell it. And so they do have this OUYA gaming source thing that they promote the OUYA games, which is cool. We basically need a media outlet that you drop your game into and people know you exist.
And this actually works? I mean, isn't the deal that mostly trying to get somebody to cover your game is really, really hard?
I don't know. I've got a special. People always say yes to me, but
Well, obviously they do to you because you're famous, but for the rest of us plebs, I exclude any other famous people on the call that I wouldn't know about. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's still learning the process, but there was a Casual Connect conference in Seattle when they posted like 150 different videos about how to market games, not specific to the OUYA. And one of those videos was talking about marketing and strategies and whatnot. And basically, they said you want to approach like the media outlet people, and they don't always have content to show people. And so a lot of times that they'll list your content for free as their stock ad because they don't want to show their house ad. People will see the house ad and realize they don't have content. So you can manage to get yourself into one of those slots where you fill in the space for the more expensive stuff. If that makes any sense.
I feel valuable and special already. I'm filler.
Yeah, yeah, but like kosher filler. I don't know.
Can I ask so Tim, you were going to finish telling us about the OUYA gaming source, but after that I wanted to ask you to validate something I think I heard you say just now, which I parsed one way, and then you said something else, and I think I may have misparsed, and it was relating to the input manager, the normal Unity input manager. Tell me when I can ask that question, and I'll come back to it.
Okay, go
I
ahead.
want to interrupt you at OUYA gaming thing first.
Go ahead.
So you mentioned input manager and OUYA input manager in saying that an upcoming change would, upcoming version would change how the input manager, the standard Unity input manager, might behave on an OUYA. Is that correct? Specifically, I think I'm also interested, especially in multiple joysticks and multiple controllers, that side of things.
Right. So all that stuff will work in the update in the following week. So neither is going away. It's just both will work. And the way that the difference between the OUYA input manager and Unity input is you pass a second parameter for your player enum.
Mm-hmm.
And in the Unity API, they have their controller number in the joystick enums. So that's like the main difference, other than how it works. So
In the joystick enums, you mean where you have, you get up the input manager panel and you say, axis 5, axis 269, the 47 input business. Is that the deal?
Yeah. I made an enum for it, actually. Here, I'll bring it up. So I called it something like OUYA key codes. So here's all the key codes that I grabbed from Unity. And basically all this. So you see joystick button, I'll make it bigger. So joystick button 0 through 20, and then joystick 1 button 0 through 20, and so on and so on.
And you assign them to integers.
Right, well they're the key codes. So that's one difference between Windows and OUYA is...
Oh, could Unity already do that?
Yeah. This is right from the Unity API. But the difference between Windows and OUYA is that OUYA supports 8 controllers, and Unity on Windows only supports 4. So that's why these were missing. I added all these in. So
Wait, since when could the OUYA support 8 controllers?
Forever.
Bluetooth.
Yeah.
Like, frankly, you could probably even plug 9 in because you could stick in one into a USB
8-player
port as well.
co-op, woo!
Yeah, well, Gauntlet, 8-player Gauntlet. The thing is, right now, like, the OUYA's console itself is highly valuable, but the controllers for the OUYA are even more valuable because there's a limited supply of those.
Is that why they're $50?
Yeah, probably.
I cannot believe that. For somebody like myself writing a multiplayer local game, it's just killing me. I mean, nobody's going to be buying extra controllers. They're all going to be having to plug in their 360s, their Wiimotes, their PS3 controllers. It's just...
Well, they will if they want to play 8-player Gauntlet.
8-player Snowman Scuffle. Actually, I can already do 8-player Snowman Scuffle. Did I tell
Oh,
you I
can you actually do
implemented-
that? You can plug in your 360 controller into an OUYA?
Oh, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that works fine.
Or should we say, oh yeah?
Yeah,
Sorry.
pun intended.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how you test. I mean, for me, I don't have an OUYA developer kit.
Yeah, that changes up things a lot.
Oh yeah. So just to summarize then, if one wanted to do input manager without the OUYA input manager, you would
Do nothing.
need to
And then you just call it.
use the input manager, but then need to kind of fix the input manager screen so that each joystick was listening to the right joystick and set, and that would be it.
Oh, yeah. It all comes down to the input settings in the editor. But that's already provided in the package, and you just use the menu item to set those up. So it's already set up for you. So I guess technically they would just go OUYA menu, use OUYA input manager settings, click that. 71 accesses are set up. They restart Unity, they go back in. and you can use input dot whatever as usual.
Interesting. So I like the player business, but perhaps you might tell us something about the new approach.
Is there a streamlined way of organizing all of the 8 different controllers, or would I have to like hard code like joystick 1 through 8?
Yep. See, they're enums, so you have to hard code the key codes. Enums.
Except they're linear enums, so you can just do a bit of division to, a bit of maths to end up with the right one, I guess.
Okay, that sounds a bit time consuming, but I guess possible.
I suppose we could add some sort of like translation for you. So you just say, all right.
Can you plug in 8 controllers to a PC with Unity?
4. Because they use the X input and it's limited to 4. So if they use some other, and oh my gosh, if you're working with Unity and controllers, it's like at least twice a day I've got to restart Unity because I have to unplug and replug my controller or whatever. Like, how many times have you guys like had to do that?
That might be a PC thing because I've never had a problem with it.
I've seen it a few times, more than a few.
Well, I'm only using 1 controller, but I've never had that problem.
It also like depends on the controller too. Maybe it's what you get when you buy a $29 Bluetooth controller versus that. Hey, it's Al.
I was going to say.
Hey guys.
Al's from the core team. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, we should all get down and bow, quick. We're on it.
No, I just wanted to jump in. I've been listening. Tim's been doing a great job. The IAP changes, the in-app purchasing changes should be the last big ones you guys have to deal with. We just wanted to add in the layer of security to make sure that the purchases were safe, so that's what all the big changes were about. But from here on in, you shouldn't see anything that big.
Cool. Yeah, they brought up security more than a few times.
Yeah, we've added in, what's happened is previously where there wasn't any encryption. What we've done is we've added in a couple of layers of encryption and things like that to make sure that although it's more complex to implement, it's more secure when the payments are made. So initially we wanted to get you guys up and running as fast as possible, which is why there was a simple implementation. And as we've added the encryption in, as Tim was going through the changes, it gets a little bit more difficult. But when you're dealing with money, people don't like it going to the wrong places.
Agreed.
Hey, Kevin, does your question about tokens and try before you buy and all that sort of thing, might Al have interesting thoughts on that one now?
There you go. Yeah, definite. Good segue. Ask Al everything, quick.
Get him!
I can't comment on any future plans. I can't lead you guys down a path that may change. I can't give you any idea when stuff may appear that hasn't already appeared, I'm afraid. I'd love to tell you what we want to do, but if I tell you something and it turns out that we need to change the plans, you guys are going to get disappointed and you'll probably come around my house, which scares me.
Okay, so that'll just go into the category for future stuff, and whatever I was guessing would probably work pretty well.
So
we are listening to it. We know you guys want it, so it is on the list. I'll just say that.
Yeah. Yeah, weren't you guys saying at one of the meetings, Steam also generates coupon codes or something? So, but you can't sell the coupon codes or something? Like, how does that work? Ideally, it would probably match existing platforms,
If it was like through Kickstarter, it would have to be like a donation type of thing,
I'm used to the iOS store where they give you like 50 per update.
That's not bad.
All right, now back to the stuff that you guys want to see, which is...
They tell you that you can't sell them or do anything cool with them. I was really hoping to get promo codes that I could like give away on Twitter and like promotional stuff like that.
Oh, really? It's in like the terms or something that you can't do that?
That's an interesting question. For OUYA, I wonder whether we could do that with some sort of, over-the-top routing until, obviously until an official thing's done, to, like, prompt trying out of extra stuff. I mean, obviously we all kind of want to be able to give a version with every unlock available to the reviewers. And I guess that mandates shipping them a developer build or whatever separately rather than saying just use a token code, right?
Right. So I made a thing for evals it's only Unity specific though.
I was just about to say that. Is there any way Tim could kind of,
That would be another very useful thing to have for that.
manipulate it?
Now it's not going to be the official and it's not tied to purchases or whatever, but it is a way to gate users and unlock features temporarily while you wait for the other features to happen. And I'll see about maybe packaging something up and showing it off next week. Because I'm already going to use it on 3 different products, and it's kind of useful. Although I could give away the secrets now. It's basically, you guys are aware that in the system namespace you have GUID, and you can just do GUID, new GUID, right? And it generates a unique identifier. And if you happen to use that in some kind of way that unlocked features and was based on time, how those were generated, you could do something to make eval keys that were good for a certain range. And then you might have to do some kind of protection so that people can just look at your DLL and see like a huge byte section of GUIDs and use them. So.
Is anybody else feeling a bit like? Did you guys watch? I think I mentioned the Amnesia Fortnite Humble Bundle they did a while back. The hack and slash game of the Humble Bundle of the Amnesia Fortnite. It's like a game where the whole point of the game is to hack the game. That is actually the gameplay, and the actual gameplay that they show you is actually kind of an ancillary thing, just to get you into hacking the game.
It kind of looked like Missile Command, I think, right?
That one was a Zelda-like.
Oh, okay. I was thinking the one that looked like DEF CON or something.
Yeah, Space-based DF9. So I'm getting the impression, Tim, that the Snowman game, when there are no other players, actually it's fun just to run around grabbing the grabbing the power-ups before they land. You're fast.
You can kind of predict.
Yeah. That's random. Seriously, it's math not random. How are you getting to them so quickly?
I'm not even thinking about it.
Played so many Unity games that you're now like, I know the math.random pseudo-random number generator algorithm. It'll be over on there.
I've got a 25% chance of guessing right, I suppose.
Yeah, get yourself into a quadrant and then hope. I suppose if you get yourself into the center, you could be doing it on the basis of a quad tree approach, BSP.
So Kevin, did you have any relapse updates?
Not really. Right now I'm still trying to implement the menus, and then I'm gonna start working on getting the core gameplay down. I just want to get the base perfect. I want it to feel perfect, act perfect, run perfect on the OUYA. And then I'm going to start adding in more stuff and then try to get multiplayer running, at least like a test. And then from there, just continue going, man.
So is that all for Monday?
No.
Okay.
It's going to take a while.
I was going to ask, how much, you saying earlier you're going to have enough in there for the 28th. What, are you publishing for the 28th? Or?
No. I was going to try to do the episodic thing for the 28th, but I don't think it's going to... probably not.
How many of those on the call? Quick poll. How many are going for the 28th? Are you already feature complete?
I am.
Yeah, I hate you guys.
I'm burning myself out right now, listening to you guys and programming at the same time.
Awesome. Yeah. Hardcore, keeping it real.
I'm going to try to get a demo out for the 28th and then just do like in-app purchase, unlock the full game after that.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do that too.
So I mean, my game's like a kayaking game, so I'm going to try to get one river, just so people can test it and have multiplayer working kind of thing.
I love the kayaking game.
Hopefully next week I'll have an update to that, so maybe maybe someone can test it for me since I won't have an OUYA yet. But...
Oh yeah, totally. My
Tim,
2-year-old loves that
playing
game.
Gravy?
Oh yeah, great. I'm thinking of making the river split in sections and then join back up, so you can do like when you do races against people or whatever, you can take shortcuts or whatever, and also have hidden items that you'll be able to customize your character with. So I was thinking maybe like a cowboy hat's floating in the river somewhere, so you got to find it, and then that gets added to your customization stuff and whatever. So,
Tim, are you seriously playing Gravy right now?
Yeah, playing Gravy.
It's good. I like it. It's a good game.
I love it, except for the fact that it makes me swear every 5 seconds.
This is a good-looking game.
Man, I die, I'm like, ew! I'm like, damn you, Tim!
Well, have you seen that? There's a XKCD cartoon. I think he graphs profanity use against cause, and by far the highest cause is Zelda. maybe this is the new Zelda.
Oh, buddy.
Okay, I feel some of that anger coming on.
It's one of those levels.
Is that frames per second counter in the corner of your screen actually measuring from the OUYA?
No, this is on the PC. That's for the next 2 weeks when I have time. Well, I'm gonna have to. The thing is, I could probably release it with 30 frames per second, and for the end of this month, and then by June get it up to 60. But the only reason why it's this high, and I'm gonna make some tools. This is future stuff. So I'm going to make some tools in the OUYA panel that kind of detect when you did bad things, like use the wrong shader. Oh, you've got
That would
the
be
wrong
fantastic.
Hey, I gave you that idea.
Yeah, well, you use screen effects when you shouldn't because they're low performance, or hey, you're using area lights here, or you didn't bake your lighting.
That sounds very useful.
That kind of thing. So,
Tim,
all stuff. Yeah, go
I
ahead.
got a quick question. Sorry. You said camera effects or image effects, right?
Yeah.
For Android, what is actually available? Because I've been just going through them, and every time I put one in, it's like it just says it's not available for Android. So I'm just curious.
Right. Well, do you have Pro?
Yeah.
Because maybe they're okay. Well, I mean, I have a shader guy, and he wrote his own, and basically when I ported not just OUYA, when I ported to the Tegra 3, like we went from 1,000 frames per second on the desktop to like 7 frames a second.
Right.
And, I turned off all the screen effects, and I got like a huge bump in performance. So.
Right.
I mean, there's ideas
So
about
basically,
like,
just don't use it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, maybe there's a way to do it on the Java side, right? Because you've got maybe somehow in Java you could manipulate the Unity player and do like 2D canvas effects for for like Xperia or like
It would require you going through. Well, it depends how the Unity player is outputting its graphics. One assumes it's going via the GPU straight to the frame buffer, but yeah,
well, what if you did something simple like you just show a texture overlay on top of it to do a vignette? I mean, you could do that where doing that as a screen effect might be super expensive, but just doing a bitmap overlay on top of it.
It might change the way that the rendering pipeline has to deal with, it needs to do compositioning, wouldn't it? Generally speaking, in graphic stuff, at least, on platforms I've played with, the pipeline changes depending on what you've done. If you're compositing a 2D, rendered thing on top of a 3D, render texture or whatever, usually they complain about that sort of things. But guys, tell me if I'm wrong. Otherwise, I love the idea because I'm a Java guy, so I could just go and have a play with that easily. But I find it unlikely.
Right. I find with the OUYA plugin package that you made there, Tim, or that I can add the image effects, and in Unity they don't get turned off automatically when I have that plugin or package in there. But yeah, obviously going to the OUYA, it just doesn't translate through basically. So I don't know why. I don't know why it shows it as active. If I make a new project and put them in, it'll automatically turn it off and say, oh, that's not compatible with the Android Pro kind of thing. But
I have a good idea about why it's doing that.
Because you're bypassing something.
Yeah. Well, okay. So everything in this plugins folder and Android. Okay, so if I don't have a plugins folder, and actually this is something you should try too, and just diff it and let me know, like, it might be more automation I need to add. But basically, okay, so if you don't have a plugins Android folder, when you build and target for Android, it's going to create an Android staging area and generate all these files, right?
Right.
And that's probably going to have the screen effect that you want turned on. And then as soon as you import a plugins Android file, like any files that show up here, replace those auto-generated files. So there's got to be some kind of screen effect that maybe it's in the manifest, or maybe it's in the layout, or maybe it's in the Java code that it generates, and we just have to merge that in. And
I don't know.
I'll make some tickets for it. I don't know, maybe you could email me like a sample project where it wasn't working, and then I'll just integrate that after the controller fixes and the purchase stuff.
Sure. I had a suggestion. I don't know if this is already in the newer version or not. I haven't updated it, but you know how you can put your splash screen and icon and all that. Does that grab that from Unity's player preferences, or already?
Oh yeah, it just replaces it, but I totally could connect the two.
Okay,
through build settings.
Right, because I had put a splash screen, I guess, for like a full HD, right, 1920 by 1080 splash screen kind of thing. But every time somebody plays it, it always seems like it's only at 720p, or like it's much smaller. It's not full screen kind of splash screen.
Yeah, totally. And actually, when you upload your game to the store, when you get to that step, it runs validation and it tells you exactly what the size has to be. But this is for the icon. Now you're talking about splash screens. That's kind of, it depends on how you did it, right?
Right. Well, I mean, can you just go right through the Unity player prefs splash screen like input?
I'd like to know about the splash screen. I'm a bit confused by the splash screen.
Yeah, because there's all kinds of
elements. Maybe I need to add that as an
stuff
example.
That I don't have an OUYA, so I can't test directly. So it seems like I'm missing adding a bunch of stuff that would show up in the OUYA store. That I'm not familiar with where exactly everything should go, kind of thing, to set it up.
Right. Did you see I added a starter kit?
I think that was an extra download, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I added a splash screen example to that one.
Okay, cool. I'll check that out then.
When you hit play. But I mean, I wasn't really concerned with 1080p versus, bigger or something. Let's see.
Right. Does it just run full screen like when you play it on the OUYA, or?
Just to confirm, the splash screen is pro only, right?
Yeah.
Not in the one that I did. It's free.
Oh, really?
Sorry. I mean, basically, I just did a texture. I mean, why is the splash screen? Oh, I see. So that's the built-in, like, it will probably, in the free version, it'll show the Unity splash screen. And then, I mean, it's a 3D engine. What's going to stop you from just make a scene with a splash screen 2D image that fades in and fades out?
Yeah, for sure.
Isn't the deal the Unity build system?
Okay, now I understand. I thought you were talking about replacing the default Unity splash screen.
No,
Well,
but
that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, you can do that though, right?
Yeah, I should add a tab to this. I mean, this isn't the perfect UI layout. It's got it's getting more and more buttons, and there's some stuff in the menu here and that kind of thing, and tabs and whatnot. I can move a lot of the stuff into the preferences, the same way that I've added some of this other stuff, like good SVN. And the only thing is, I don't like their API for the user preferences because I can't resize this freaking window.
Oh man, I hate unresizable windows.
Why? It's probably in the 4.4 upgrade maybe that I can resize it, but I'm trying to target everything for 3.x because not everybody is upgraded, you know. And if I do it in 3, theoretically it works in 4, kind of thing.
Yeah, we just want to use Linux as our desktop OS, and then the window manager would just be able to override it to say, yeah, I know it says don't resize it, but just resize it, okay?
That'd be cool.
So, but I think you should be able to switch the splash screen on Android if you're okay.
In case anyone's interested, I have a tutorial on my channel on how to transfer your project from 3.5 to 4.
Yeah, totally. And actually, I can add that kind of stuff to. So I send like a weekly email about, hey, we're doing a Hangout, or hey, here's the next update, and any kind of useful stuff that you guys have that you want me to include in that, I can add it to that email. Because that's definitely useful. Or I can add it to the page with the update.
Hey, if anybody wants to see me swearing at Tim's game, it's going to come out pretty soon.
Okay, so basically, your solution is just to make a separate scene that loads first, that just shows your splash, to make it full screen kind of thing, and not go through the Unity splash page thing.
Well, I mean, it's two different things, right? I mean, I need to add support for it. I'll add a ticket for that.
Okay.
I hadn't given it much thought because I always use Pro, so it's like I don't know what's free anymore. Like, I just use all the Pro stuff.
Tim's just like, haha, suckers.
Yeah, well, I'm using Pro too. I had just plugged that in, and it didn't seem like it was showing for people in full screen on the OUYA. So I was just curious, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
If you set the default one in Pro, it does come up on the OUYA, but it is resized. It's like a bit smaller. If you set one, a large splash screen like you would on the iPhone, and put it into, the build settings, it will come up. But I reckon the best thing to do is put it on a black background and make a kind of logo in the middle, and then you won't know if it's full screen or not.
Gotcha. Okay.
If it turns out that the Pro splash screen is any way configurable in the plugins Android stuff, like theoretically we could unlock
it'll be in there.
Yeah, it'll just work for the free people.
Totally be in there.
Right. Yeah, I'm just thinking that it's just because it's going out for Android, and so it's set to, whatever resolution it sets for Android instead of being full screen kind of thing.
Rupert, you're exactly right. If it's not happening on the Unity side, it's definitely Java side in unlocking it.
The Unity player doesn't actually get to do anything until Android's dealt with it already, has it? So there's no way Unity can be showing their loader screen unless it's being done by Java. So that one's easy to bypass.
Yeah.
Other things not so much, but that one, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I just got mine on a scale to fit.
There'll probably be, if you check the Android manifest, there'll be an activity that's fired up before all the others. It's that one, let's face it.
Yeah, totally.
Guys, last week we talked about pool managers and pooling instances and things like that. Marco suggested the pool manager. I bought it, and it's quite good, but I've just noticed something recently. If it's okay to poll people, in case you've got like other ideas, do you ever see, is everybody using Pool Manager, or is there something else that others are using? And has anybody noticed a large sort of jank latency moment when you try to bring in a whole ton of things in the same frame? Is that just, I've done something dumb and I haven't found it yet type of thing?
I never bring in a whole ton of stuff in one frame.
Okay, good.
But I'm not using a pool manager. Although I almost started last week, but then I thought I'll do it another time. I'll put that off till later.
Definitely.
Because I'm only really creating things in small bits. When loads of stuff happens, maybe it slows down a bit. I've got another game that I'm working on, which I've got my own little pool manager happening, which I probably will convert to that thing that Hashbang sent through last week. But I think Unity is pretty good these days. I mean, go back to the 3G. You couldn't instantiate anything at runtime without having a real problem. But these days, I tend to rely on the fact that the computers are a little bit more powerful, and that you can get away with instantiating a few things every now and then, as long as you're not doing too much. I know it's not the correct thing to do, but it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt during a game.
I'm wary of.
Pair up after yourself.
I'm wary of that, the usual garbage collection risk that every managed memory system. Obviously, I'm used to it from Java, but I'm kind of like, yep, there's bound to be an issue. So I need a pool manager. But at the moment, I might show you a version of the build later in a sec. But I've got snow on a roof, which I convert into n rolls of snow, so that they'll roll off the ceiling nicely and crash onto the player's head. But when I do that, I haven't exactly timed the specific delay, but I think it's probably taking. Well, I can see it's taking my frame rate from something around 60 down to maybe 1.
That's an issue.
Yeah. So I'm toying with making it like sort of incrementally build them, which I can get away with for that particular thing. But I was just wondering, that's a known issue. And from Gaz's comment there, it sounds like, don't do too much building in one frame seems to be the answer. I was thinking maybe that, the game engine doesn't like updating its data structures n times or something. I just thought Unity gurus like yourselves might know.
There was this other game that I was building where I did have this long-term memory leak that happened when you played it after you've been playing it for about 20 minutes, and this memory leak just eventually took over. But then every 10 seconds I put this garbage collection script in there. I can't remember what it was, but it just basically I think it was every 10 seconds or every 60 seconds I just did this garbage thing, and it didn't lag for much. I felt I didn't even notice it. But it stopped the thing from happening, and it meant I didn't have to reprogram the whole thing, if that makes sense.
Hang on a second. This memory leak helped me, wasn't it? Is that what you just said?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, but No, I didn't say that. Did I say that? No, this memory leak that I had in the game that would surface after about every 20 minutes of gameplay. And it would basically bring the game into a crash, which is not good, when it's live and people are playing it and downloading it and stuff. And the way I got around it was to do some weird garbage dump that I found on the forums, which basically just dumped everything, but allowed you to keep playing. But I run that script every 10 seconds, but you don't notice it. But what it does is it purges stuff. And so it purges my mistakes, if you see what I mean. So rather than me having to completely reprogram everything in a game that was over a year old, I could just tidy up after it, if that makes sense.
You don't fancy sending us out a link to a copy of the whatever that script was? It sounds vaguely curious.
If I can let me just have a look in there. I'll look in my script project of that game and see if I can find it now. Cause it was in
no worries if you don't. I was just kind of
the main script.
Might be interesting. I don't have an actual problem at the moment, but
it helps, and it means because I find if you're having to come up with some crazy system to make your game, sometimes you can get lost in that system when really you really need to get on and get the gameplay working.
Have you been spying on me? Seriously, I spent the last week integrating Pool Manager. Seriously, have you got cameras in my house?
But it's just how it is, isn't it? It's because making gameplay is a creative process, and so that demands a seriously large amount of time, just tweaking and making it feel right. And sometimes, and as a programmer, you get lost in these other systems. That's why I was saying last week why Asset Manager is so awesome, Asset Store is so awesome, because you can pull these things in. And you can focus on is he walking right? Is he jumping right? Is he falling over right? And, I'm going a bit insane this week. But, that's
hey, No worries. I think we all get what you're talking about. You know, the tweaks take ages, don't they? You know, it's like, is my animation good? No. Try again. 2 weeks later, try again.
Yeah. Nice.
Hey, can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, this is my first time on a Hangout, so hopefully I'm not messing anything up.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Good to
Sorry
see you.
I got in late, and maybe I missed some of the discussion of in-app purchases, but
Yeah, it's all
You did
recorded.
miss that.
yeah, all right.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, I figured that was the focus and kind of gotten out of the way. I'll probably just refer to the recording for most of it.
Right. So I'm capturing like with Camtasia at the same time as the Hangout, and then I typically just, after the Hangout's done processing it on the broadcast or whatever, then I splice the two together and then repost it so that everything you see here is readable, because it's probably not. When it comes to the code, like the Hangout's only doing like 480p or something, and I can get it up to 1080p.
That's cool. That's good to have.
All right. So who's like super experienced with NGUI?
I'm pretty experienced with NGUI.
I was talking to the NGUI developer yesterday, and he might come to like the next Hangout, but it's still in the works.
Because I'm trying to get these OUYA controls implemented, and it is just kicking me.
Yeah,
Nothing
let's
is working.
let's look at your code, Kevin. If you share your screen, I'll set the focus on it, and we can
Yeah, definitely. Just
we can group rate code. I kind of was thinking we should do a Hangout where like in an hour we make a whole game. That might be cool.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
Self-organize at the start of the Hangout. It's like, you deal with that graphics, you sound, you animation. Wait, am I doing this?
Okay, Kevin.
I'm not
You have
sure.
to turn on your camera so we can see your screen.
Yeah.
This isn't going to be pair programming. This is going to be, what, 12, 9, 8?
Group
whatever it is,
programming, yeah.
People programming? Yeah, awesome.
All right. So it is
Just
going
think,
on.
Kevin, every time you misspell a variable or something, we'll all shout out, oh, you spelled that wrong, you spelled that wrong.
No, don't freak him out. No pressure, man.
No pressure, man. You're just like one of the youngest kids inside the Hangout. No pressure. All right.
Hey, you don't get anything but respect for being able to do this when you're younger. That's awesome.
I learned a trick. See the screen in Unity 4? I totally hate it. The two-pane thing or whatever, there's like a little thing that you can switch it to like a single pane, and then there's all this relief that just floods in. You know what I'm talking about?
Not really.
So in Unity 3, it doesn't do the split pane. Anyways, there's a toggle. It's like one of the little buttons on the top right of your project view, and you can switch it back to like normal single pane mode
All right.
if you wanted to do such a thing.
Tim,
If you
I'm
were-
sharing my screen.
If you were horrified by the UI change in Unity 4.
No mind. Oh, where'd it go? Let's see if that works. Oh, you're gonna have to give me a little bit of time. I just think oh, no, never mind. Maybe I can just good SVN and update. Huh.
Oh, that looks pretty cool. That good SVN thing. So yeah, if you guys don't know, there's a eval key, so you can try that out. It's basically integrated SVN into Visual Studio there. I mean, into the Unity editor.
You're gonna have to give me a bit. I'm gonna need to reprogram this.
Yeah, so I was thinking about adding another example where you push on the D-pad keys, it'll switch focus between UI buttons and stuff. So That's kind of what Kevin's been asking about lately.
I'm just trying to get it done.
Yeah. So when I see that XSplit thing, is that like a... What's that thing that broadcasts? The Twitch TV?
Broadcast.
Twitch.tv.
Yeah.
That's
Oh
cool.
my god, it's CT ski.
Finally, I got my camera working. Do I still have a delay?
No, it's instant.
No.
Oh, wow. Finally, towards the end of the show. I don't know if it's really a show, but Hangout.
Actually, I just hit the hour-and-a-half mark, so I'm going to stop my screen recorder and the broadcast. Well, and that's interesting. All right, I'll leave it going.
That's a good question. Is the OUYA always online?
I think it's always on, like even though it's dark.
I mean,
Once you power it on.
No, network-wise.
like after you download your games, can you still play them if your internet connection goes out?
No, actually, with the dev kit you can. I'm not sure if that's going to be a full console thing.
Right. It's not like Google Play. Yeah, so on my
like
phone or
EA.
whatever, I downloaded Final Fantasy 3, and then I go walk down the hill, and I want to keep playing Final Fantasy 3, but I've got real spotty internet connection. And if I haven't launched Final Fantasy 3, I can't play it. You know, it has that little validation every time you run it to say, hey, is this a valid copy kind of thing.
Okay, because I was just
and
talking.
The OUYA doesn't do that by default, but I mean, if you build in the IAP purchase stuff and make that require it, and do a bad design, I mean, it's not bad design, but you're going to limit your users. You have to expect that some people want to play when their internet connection's out. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Did Al's response hint at they're using security to cache some of that stuff? I mean, have you guys tried unplugging the OUYA and seeing whether the in-app purchase responds with valid receipts and things already?
I'm just trying to get the stuff to work. Oh, maybe after it works, I'll unplug the cable and see what happens. I assume that you'd still get the failure callback, and then get some kind of error code that says, "Hey, you're
maybe a
unplugged."
timeout.
Yeah.
I have a random question. Does anyone know the status of the center button on the OUYA controller, and both how it is desired to work or what is?
Yeah, I'd like to know more about that too.
Yeah, same here. Because I was wondering if I could use it as like a start menu button or something like that.
You can. Okay, so there's a new broadcast event that fires when you tap it once.
Mm-hmm.
If you tap it twice, it exits your game. So you tap it once, and then you get a broadcast event. And I'm planning on adding an event in Unity that you can either receive it through the event-driven input or detect it through the input code as like input.system or something.
Now, is that if it's pressed twice within a certain amount of time?
Yeah, I mean it's like a double click, right? Like
Okay.
I think they said it's at 300 milliseconds or something, and you won't get that event for that time.
But the Unity integration doesn't currently handle it just as another button, does it?
It's not a on-key event, it's a broadcast event, and it's something that recently changed, and
Gotcha.
I have the code to do it. I made a ticket to add it, I just haven't got around to it yet, because I was focusing on IAP stuff,
Yeah,
but it's definitely coming.
Yeah, I'm more concerned about the IAP stuff for what's worth, but I was curious about that. Cool.
Yeah, there is a broadcast event. I have the secret document. Let's see. It's not a secret. I think when they updated the docs, everybody can see the input changes. And if I know where that is, one of these pages should have it. Oh,
Are these tickets you mentioned? Are they all hiding on your your hashbang feedback website that we've all got to cancel, but nobody can see any content on?
No. Yeah, this is tickets I added to the Jira system at OUYA. So it's on their server of actual work tickets that I'm doing versus just bug reports. These are I will do XYZ in X amount of time kind of thing. Okay, but in the updated developer docs here, there's been some changes for setting up your OUYA. So with terms of like drivers and intents. Oh, okay, that's another thing. So you have to add another intent filter for the broadcast event to happen when you push the button. And I'm looking. Okay, right here, I guess. Here, I'll post a link to this so you guys can look at it and not see me like wildly scrolling.
But you'll be updating the plugin anyway, right? So
yeah, you won't have to do this yourself.
Bring in these changes.
Yeah. Here we go. This is the intent filter, so you get a broadcast event for menu appearing when you push the system button.
Roughly speaking, what's the ETA on that one?
Next week, next Friday. So I'll have an update this Friday for IAP fixes, and next Friday for controller fixes.
If one of us needed to implement that in advance, would you accept a patch?
Yeah, I'll send you early things maybe.
Yeah, I don't know, how's everybody else handling the, my user wants to quit the game, quit my current level. As far as I know, there's only one button I can use for that, and that's that system button, right? Is there a better solution? All ears.
I thought about the idea of like touch right is start and touch left is select. Like you could set up your game that way because the touchpad is where the back button and start button would be located. So you would communicate to your player touch right, touch left.
That's a very good
you mean
point.
If the mouse is kind of theoretically moved right or theoretically moved left type of thing?
Like a swipe gesture?
Yeah, it's not an absolute position, is it?
You'd have to get like a get touch down function inside of Unity, I believe, and then you just have to, if it's on the right side of the screen, it's just like treat it as if touch right.
Yeah, but the OUYA touchpad is actually like a mouse touchpad. It's not like an iPhone touchpad.
Yeah.
So it's
I did not know
representative,
that.
not absolute.
But there's going to be an update soon where you can switch modes, or like you'll have a touch event and a mouse position. So absolute and not absolute, and then you could do that kind of thing. I think it's still only one finger touches, but I'm not totally sure. That was something you could have asked Al that he can't comment on.
So if you wanted to make it like before this update happens, if you wanted to make it like you could turn just the entire touchpad into one button, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, completely fair. Good idea. I like it. That's my solution. Brilliant. Thanks, Eric.
In that case, it would just be input.mouse position, and then if X or Y changes at all, it's a button press, or you have like a threshold for how far it moves.
Just a mouse button press on its own is pretty much it, isn't it?
Oh, you're right. Yeah, it does have a button press, doesn't it?
Like by default, could it just be get button down, fire 1?
Yeah, fair point. It might. I don't know. Depends how it all maps, I suppose. Could somebody with an OUYA give us an answer on that one? Because those of us without dev kits are...
Yeah, I'm very new to this whole OUYA thing.
What's the question?
It's the same as it's input.get mouse down, 0 for left, 1 for right. It's the same as any other Windows game on in Unity. It's the same API. That stuff all works fine.
So does that mean that there's going to be a mouse cursor in every OUYA game, and then you just have the option to hide it?
No, well, there's right now you can't hide it. It auto hides, but so it's the cursor isn't visible when it starts, and then you tap the mouse, and you might see it for 3 seconds, and then it disappears. So
is that a glitch that'll be fixed?
No idea. I mean, you'd have to assume that there's a way to hide it, but the Android SDK doesn't have like a cursor.hide anywhere. Not that I've seen.
Oh, you're saying if you try to show it, that's what happens.
Yeah, but then again, like Unity API does have a show cursor function, right? So
I chatted to the guy who wrote Chopper Mike at one of the meetups in the UK. He basically cursed that particular functionality while demoing it to the room and kept having to, because people were playing it, they touched the mouse pad and he had to keep moving the cursor out of the way. Because, 3 seconds it just loiters around on the screen. So one imagines it will be something they will have to fix, but as yet not, apparently. So, can I just finish up on Tim's comment? So when you touch, is there like a, touchpads can either have buttons next to them which you can click and press, or you can tap to say, do a button press. Are you saying that tapping the OUYA touchpad generates a touch, like a click event? Is that correct?
Tapping it, yeah, that's the click event.
Okay, brilliant.
And that just comes in as a mouse click.
Cool.
So that means there's no way of getting mouse input without the mouse button being down.
No, it'll send mouse movement event as you move it around, and then if you tap it hard enough, it'll send that through as a mouse click event.
Oh, I see.
Okay, that's sorry. That one's confirmed. Is it? It's Shay, is it? Was speaking. You've tested that. Okay, great.
I've used that before. Yeah.
Awesome.
So at this point, could you say create a virtual mouse and get a cursor in your game that way?
So
But you might have duplicates though, right? You'd have the mouse and then you'd have your virtual mouse.
I'm working on a port of a game to the OUYA that is pretty menu driven, and I'm making it so that you can. Basically, the first thing I wanted to do was make it so that I had a unified. Mouse cursor that the controller, the gamepad, the D-pad could move around the screen, move to the different buttons on the screen. And I tried to kind of unify it, but there's no real way in Unity to say hey, move the current mouse cursor position to over this button, so that then whenever they start using the touchpad, it's at the same point. So I had to make it a separate virtual cursor that my gamepad just moves around from button to button. And actually, I was going to ask, I looked into briefly a way to do this. Unity lets you override the cursor texture, right?
No, I don't think it does. I think you have to create a virtual mouse if you want to override the cursor texture.
Really?
No, I think you can turn it off.
Oh, that's right. You could turn it off.
Yeah, you can make the mouse invisible.
But I found that making the mouse invisible didn't work on the OUYA. Has anyone else tried that? Yeah, well, that was what I found. I tried to hide the normal mouse cursor, and then I could draw my own, but instead they both drew. And even though Unity supports hiding mouse cursor and doing that on other platforms, for some reason it's not on the OUYA. That was one of the first things I tried. It's possible.
I think that's directly because the Android SDK doesn't have a API for hiding the mouse. I don't know why.
Yeah, they probably don't worry about the mouse much usually.
Yeah, because they're all touch devices. Yeah.
Yeah.
Until recently. I wonder if that's new in Unity 4.
My game is in Unity 4 for what it's worth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you use the Unity feedback forum, and then you do feature requests, and then hopefully they pick it up. Or you spam the beta list, and you have 100 of your friends say, "Oh yeah, definitely, I need that." And you make a video, and you do a bug report, and you have a case, and a repro step, and a repro project, and then sometimes they listen to those when they go like wildfire.
Well, I have everyone. I do want to ask, and again, I need to go back and see what was talked about with in-app purchases before. But just my one quick in-app purchase question. I spent some time trying to get the latest Unity plugin working just to get a basic in-app purchase working in test mode, and I couldn't, and I wasn't sure if it was possible or if I needed to go touch the Java layer or stuff like that. Is it possible with just what's in the package right now? Or am I just stupid?
No, definitely not. Do you have the 1001 update?
Yes.
Okay. So I kind of covered it a little bit, but I was planning on.
Yeah, just yes or no is fine. If you don't want to cover it, I'll over again.
It's fine. It's fine. Although I didn't need to stop my capture pretty soon. I'm worried that I might lose like an hour and 45 minutes worth of like stuff.
That's
That would be
quality
bad.
stuff.
Yeah, the HD quality stuff.
Twitch automatically records, but I guess then you don't get like people coming in and this Google Hangout system. So never mind. What I said was irrelevant.
Yeah. well, I don't know if Twitch records HD though. That's the thing. Like.
Yeah, it records whatever resolution you upload it at. So 1080p, 720p.
Well, I kind of have a system working kind of good.
Yeah,
My
Twitch
English
won't
is-
allow for this like group hangout thing. So that's actually very useful in this situation.
All right, so here's what I do. Like, you see my screen, and then I just take the people, and then I put them right about there, and I set the transparency to about 20%, so you can see through the people to the top menu a little bit. And then, whoa, I forgot about that. If you wiggle the window, that's like a signal to Windows to do something. Okay. Anyways, about your question, on the OUYA game object, I'm adding this use the IAP test mode thing. You just check that, and then that will turn it into test mode.
Gotcha. So
And then you put in your purchasables. So like if I do a reset, there we go. So and then you enter your purchasables, and it's supposed to use those in the stuff. It'll be in Friday's update, working so that it uses this list and respects this toggle. So that's the
Great.
plan at least.
but those toggle and lists don't exist in 1001. Is that right?
Not yet. Yeah.
Okay. Because I didn't see them, but I maybe wonder if I had the wrong version. But
Right.
all right, good to know where things stand. Also, how does the binary thing that you have to download for your app? How do you link that in? I guess
The binary? Which binary?
the .der file that you can download when you make an app, and which I thought was required for like the encryption that they were doing.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So in the other part,
key.der file.
yeah. That goes into your test facade at the top, I think. So those bytes need to go in here. I don't know how to do it exactly because I haven't got to that step yet. But
Yeah.
this is the destination for the application key.
Gotcha. That's good to know.
I have another question to expand on that.
Okay.
If you were already done talking about what you were.
Yeah, no, that was it.
Okay. What I was gonna say is I plan on simultaneously releasing my game on OUYA and PC. So, and I'm thinking I just want it to just be, like a one button unlock on the OUYA and just buy it on PC. I'm not sure exactly. Is there any like advice or anything? Like, is that a terrible idea, or would that be easy enough to implement, making it like, say if I wanted to sell it on Desura and the OUYA store, like, am I going to have to make my business models the same on both, or should I make
I
them
don't think
totally
there's any
separate?
restrictions like that. It's just like they said earlier, you'll get the free download in the store, and then you'll have to have an in-app purchase to unlock it. And then code-wise, you can just do a preprocessor defined to see if you're on Unity Android to handle the in-app purchase. And then possibly you have a similar preprocessor defined to switch between like a scene that has that purchase. And then Desura is you'll make an installer. Well, that's a cool thing I could show you guys. Like, how do you make an installer for your PC game? But anyways, when you upload that installer to Desura, they generate keys for you, and then they handle all the key generation and before it runs that install. So, yeah, it's kind of cool. So as far as like the installer step, did you build your installer like already, or I use something called INNO setup.
I built my installer for Relapse.
Actually, I think the only game I ever did get off of Desura was a Unity game, and I just downloaded it as a zip file.
Okay. Yeah, that's not packaged. I mean, you can do that, but it's a little more elegant to make a thing. So I had,
I guess, yeah.
Gravy.
For non-Unity people, I guess, yeah.
Okay, so I use
Gravy's
this thing
awesome.
Yeah. Basically, here, help about. This is a free installer demo thing. It works, or not demo, installer program. It's free, and it runs off the script thing. And I don't know, it works great. I've used it for a lot of games.
Oh wait, so you put that right inside of Unity?
No, it's just a script, and I have I'll pick up the paths and stuff. I'm getting an echo real bad now. But anyways, I just say build, compile, and when it's done, I end up with an output installer, and then it's just a regular Windows installer. So you click that.
Okay. Is that Windows only?
Yeah, this will be for your Windows build. When you build on Mac, you get an app that you just drag to your app folder, and then you just zip that up and distribute that. That was pretty easy.
Okay. Would it be similar for Linux too?
Linux. Yeah, I'll show you that. Okay,
Linux is different. It doesn't
I
be the same.
I got Linux working too, so. Here,
Well, you need different.
I assume Linux
different
people are
distros.
smart, so they can figure out whatever.
Yeah. Okay, so hold on. So this installer thing builds this, and you have a nice installer that your standard in Windows installer thing. So
Stereotyping nerds.
now for the hold on a second.
All right, now that Tim's gone.
Please enjoy this music while we wait.
So maybe I misunderstood your problem, but are you just asking how can you do a simultaneous purchase on OUYA and PC?
I wasn't necessarily thinking that exactly, because I assume that if anybody buys my game, it's going to be either on the OUYA or PC. I don't see any reason to buy both, so I wasn't worried about that. I guess I was just trying to figure out what would be the easiest streamlined way, because I've done an iPhone game before, but they handle a lot of the store stuff for you. So I guess I'm just trying to wrap my head around how I'm going to do this before I jump into it, because I'm kind of going in blind here.
Seems like the safest way is to just make your free functionality just the demo of your game and an in-app purchase to unlock the full functionality, right?
Yeah.
And then maybe put because I want my two different game files to be the same, or my two different projects to be one project, so that I can just click build for OUYA, build for PC, because it would be much more easier to handle all of the level design and all of that stuff to keep them both in the same project.
Well, why not use
what the best way to do that would be?
Why not use the SVN? And then all you got to do with good SVN is just click update, and it updates both projects. And then all you would need to do is fix the input and then build for Windows.
Is that the team license? Is that what you mean?
No, it's source version control. You get like a repo, and then you got to set it up with Tortoise SVN or your favorite SVN program, and then it just syncs files between the two projects. That's what I'm doing.
Would it be possible?
I use. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, would it be possible just to do in-app purchases for both versions, but then the PC version would just basically call up PayPal or something, and then the OUYA one would just handle it through the OUYA store, obviously.
That's a good idea too.
That is a good idea. And then just make it free on Desura, or I could make it free off of anywhere, couldn't I?
Yeah, so just make it free with a demo mode or however you want to do it, and then just do the in-app purchases as it goes straight to PayPal or whatever you want to use, kind of thing.
Wait, and then that way I wouldn't even need to give Desura 30% then, wouldn't I?
I don't know. I don't know if that would actually work. I don't know how much information you can pass to a URL call, but if
tons.
Yeah.
Just do a post. Just do an encrypted post, and they don't know what you're sending.
Oh,
Okay.
hi Tim, you're back.
So yeah, that would work. You just put it in as
Alternatively, couldn't
direct
you
link
just
to whatever PayPal purchase you want to do.
couldn't your in-app
Alright,
purchase simply say, return yes on the platform that you are, have they bought this thing? Yes, it's the version from Desura. At which point, what does it matter?
Yeah, I would have just a global flag in your project that is like, is this the full version or not? And then you could have 3 different versions. You could have PC free demo that never has that's true for it's the full version. You have PC, they've bought the game and downloaded that version, and it always returns true. And then on OUYA, it's the demo until they do the in-app purchase and unlock it, and then it returns true of, okay, they own the full game, and now all the functionality is there.
Okay. Can you transfer files? Like, can you copy files from your OUYA onto your PC?
Oh yeah, I've got a tool that does that.
Tim.
You haven't seen my video? It's
Or,
like,
I mean,
I've got a tool that it'll grab any APK off your OUYA and copy it to your phone and push it around, and you can copy apps from your phone and put it on the OUYA in 2 clicks.
Okay. So what I'm wondering is, would somebody be able to download the free version of my game on the OUYA and then just copy that file onto their PC and then just unlock the game for free?
Well, it wouldn't run on their PC, but they could copy it to their phone and play it for free.
Yeah, that's right, because it'll just completely export as different files, even if I have them.
It'll run on any Android device.
But the security, I mean, if it goes and checks, did this guy buy this entitled in-app purchase before it unlocks that functionality, then that wouldn't work on a different Android device.
Well, what it's going to do on another Android device is it's going to try and talk to the OUYA launcher. And when it doesn't find the OUYA launcher on their phone or whatever, it's just going to bomb, probably, in the jar file, unless there's some nice error handling there.
Okay. Well, you don't really have to be nice to people trying to steal your game.
Yeah.
My question's about piracy on the actual OUYA console. What about downloading just an APK off the internet?
Yeah, you can run Steam, Netflix, whatever you want. It'll run on your OUYA.
I think actually you'll find
Damn,
research
legit?
suggests
Yeah, this is gonna be my new streaming box. I'm downloading that right now.
Yeah, haven't you seen the video where they play Sonic the Hedgehog and Netflix?
Yeah, I have. I just never took the chance to actually get into it.
I think that isn't the best practice recommended for these days. Do be nice to the people that are pirating your game. Make the characters all switch to having little pirate hats or whatever if they pirate the game. And they're kind of entertained by it. And then you give them by the way, I worked really hard on this game. Would you like to donate? And it turns out loads of them do. It's really weird.
Wait, that's a game that you've seen somebody do that?
Yeah, that's how...
There was a whole report on it.
Yeah, there was the guy that... so he took his game, he put it on Pirate Bay on purpose, so that people would steal his game.
Awesome.
And then that's how he funded his Kickstarter game, is just the success of having his game pirated, launched him on Kickstarter.
That's awesome.
Yes, several indies have worked with Pirate Bay, actually. I think McPixel got on the front page of Pirate Bay.
The promo bay, I think they call it, don't they?
Yeah, I heard them talking about who was it? Retro City Rampage was doing something with, he was communicating with pirates. I forgot what he told them. Oh no, he did. He made a patch for the pirates.
An eye patch.
That would be really funny if it said downloading patch and it was a picture of an eye patch.
Yeah, slowly appearing over Steve Jobs' face. The eye patch. Sorry.
That would be really funny. To design your whole game just to just make sure it's a good playable experience and they still have a good experience, but just make them feel really bad about it.
Yeah. Seriously, I think there was some deal about he made a version where all of the players it played exactly the same, but they all just had little pirate hats on or something, which is actually what I'm planning on doing. That's such a good idea.
That is such a brilliant idea.
Well, because my characters get to have hats and things. You can wear top hats and carrots and scarves. And they're snowmen, picture it. And pirate hats. You get to go and choose your hat, and it's like parrot hat, parrot hat, parrot hat. Where are the other hats? Oh, well, I pirated this, so I've only got parrot hats. It's obvious.
That's so funny.